Hey folks, Aaron from Beansprout here. I'm getting ready for my research trip. We're going to Hawaii in about 6 weeks. I've been doing a lot of research about the woodworking side and the music side, but I've had to back up and catch up on like just normal Hawaiian history because I didn't really know that much about it. So this video is just going to be about what I've been reading and where it's been going. So this is not my field. I'm not an expert in this. I'm just following, recommendations from people and where it goes. I did study, my master's degree is in music history. So I'm not unfamiliar with the field. It's just Hawaiian history in general is not my thing. Now, my generation has really taken up the banner of not just studying history, but studying the history of history. Because each generation of people who write a history, even primary sources, they have their own worldview, their own point of view, their own context. And as we read someone's words, we need to take that into account. Where maybe when I was growing up, it was just kind of like, oh yeah, this is what happened. Here it says it in a book. This is what happened. And it's probably not really that easy. So just to give you a super basic overview from where I'm coming from on this, most academic historical stuff seems to still have kind of a Victorian worldview. It still comes from the British, and it comes from the British Victorian stuff kind of stretching up into like Winston Churchill. Those ways of like white guys writing history, where it's a lot of military history, it's a lot of great man theory, it's a lot of like their point of view. And a lot of history that's come after that is generally taught kind of has that still at its core. So as we go through these other things, I'm going to talk about different ways that's affecting what I'm doing. When I was studying history in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was a lot more writers that had maybe a little bit more of a liberal viewpoint about people and class and culture and history. Maybe there's a little Marxism in it, a little class study in it, a little feminism in it. But it was still like dominated by white guys writing that way. So it's like white guys, but maybe with a different viewpoint. Now it's a little more popular to listen to primary sources in original languages, to listen to people who are not white men about history, to look at folklore, culture in music and art and dance in connection with history, to look at socio-political movements and not just the great white man version of history. So anyway, I'm not judging anybody for any of those things. This is where I'm coming from. So to begin with, the one music history book I have been working with is this. It's Hawaiian Music and Musicians, an Illustrated History. And this reminds me of the Grove reference books from when I was in college for music. So this to me is a reference book. I haven't been reading it cover to cover. It not only has like pre-colonial stuff, but it's got up to mid-century and 1970s and 80s in it. Great photographs, and it's got lots of stuff in it where I can like look up also Hawaiian terms to get like a deeper view of what they really mean. And it's also just fun. Like here is Ray Kinney and his Serenaders from 1932. Look at their instruments and look at their clothes and what they're playing, and it's just kind of fun. But this has been invaluable to me. My friend Steven recommended this to me, and I've been eating it up. It's really fantastic. So when I first got started, I started with a popular book. This isn't a real historical book. Sarah Vowell is a journalist from This American Life, and she writes really funny kind of travel history books. So this is lighthearted, but it's about like her history, travels to Hawaii, and learning about like the original white colonists that were missionaries. Sorry, that's what I meant. It's about the missionaries, and it's about her learning about them, and it's just fun. She's a great writer. I really like her. So Unfamiliar Fishes. And the next place I went is also a popular writer. He's not an academic, but he's a little more, he would sound academic to most of you. He's a white guy. He's got his own views. I think if maybe the way history used to think is like the missionaries were bad, and then maybe in the 60s and 70s everyone's like let me get that right. Originally it was like the missionaries are good. They really saved the Hawaiian people. And then maybe in the 60s and 70s people were like missionaries are bad. The Hawaiian people were better without them. Then maybe this guy, it's kind of swung maybe more towards the middle, where like the missionaries were good and bad. The Hawaiian kingdom was good and bad. So I think I got him pegged. He's pretty good. He doesn't really mention music in this at all. Now, I think his main source, though, for this is probably this guy, good old Ralph. I don't know how to say his last name. Kuykendall? These are 3-volume history of Hawaii from the 50s and 60s. He was a professor of Hawaiian history. This is like the decline and fall of the Roman Empire for Hawaiian history. So this is the, the white guy colonizer version of Hawaiian history. Did you know you can have a PhD in Hawaiian history and not speak Hawaiian? It's pretty weird. But I think that's what this sort of stuff is. So I've been using this as a reference. Everybody else I'm reading is also using him as a reference. He seems to be working from pretty much all English language sources. So that really gives him a different view of events. But gotta have it. It was really hard to get all 3 of these where I could afford it. But eBay is good. So what else? Okay, this Melanie and Duncan gave me, The Legends and Myths of Hawaii. And it said on the cover, it states that this is, by King Kalakaua. He's also known as the Merry Monarch. He's like the guy known for like a cultural renaissance of dance, music, art, song, right before America took over Hawaii. So he lists like 6 friends and editors and contributors to this. So I know he was an academically minded man, but I don't know officially how much he wrote of this because there's lots of other people who were involved with it. But it's been really fun to go through this and get, a richer cultural picture. A lot of these things were written down by his generation because they originally were only spoken, and they were worried that if they didn't write it down, it would be gone forever, and they were right. So this is a foundation for a lot of Hawaiian culture and history. And sometimes with non-colonial cultures, the oral tradition and the old stories tell true history. And so it's been pretty fun to work through that. Okay, so now for the one that's really spinning my head around. This is Aloha Betrayed by, I think it's Noe, I'm really sorry, K. Silva. It's called Native Hawaiian Resistance to American Colonialism. And the reason this has been good is she's using Hawaiian language sources. So she's talking about the colonization of Hawaii by reading the Hawaiian sources. And there were Hawaiian newspapers and books and all that at the time. Little known fact is when maybe little known for you, sorry. When the first colonizers came to Hawaii, they brought printing presses right away because they wanted to get the Hawaiian language written down so that they could print Bibles and things like that. And within 50 years, Hawaii was like one of the most literate places in North America. Because of that, there's lots of newspapers and things written in Hawaiian. And so we can read their sources. She also is really changing my mind about how language is used and how language is used as a weapon in history and how language is used as a weapon by colonizers. And I am not a scholar of Hawaiian language, but I'm trying to learn. A great example is the word pono. And so I've heard people use that word and it just kind of means like something good or something that's in balance or something that's harmonious or something that's like strongly good. And it apparently has a much deeper, richer meaning than that. But the original preachers, when they were translating the Bible and stuff, they used the word pono to mean righteousness. And what they meant by that is like Christian righteousness of God, like righteousness of the Bible. Like, so pono changed from like a richer word with many, many meanings to one that was like the righteousness of God, pono. And that's fascinating to me. And I'm also realizing that Hawaiian in particular has so many meanings that are so rich for each little word or phrase that a lot of the white people writing these histories just missed it just because they didn't get the deeper significance of things. So it's like a good example in this is she talks about like an event that King Kalakaua had where they had like pantomimes and floats and on a parade and like bits of Hawaiian history and culture taught as like floats in a parade kind of. And all the white people were like, and then there were many floats of savages dressed in their savage dress. And then like, that's it. But like, it turns out that if you understand Hawaiian history and culture, each little like float and pantomime had like a very specific bit of history and culture to teach, but just the white people didn't know it. So it's just like, you read what's in here and it just is like, yeah, and then they did a parade and then it was dancing. And then you read what she writes and it's like, so different. So she's really changed in my mind, not just about Hawaiian history, but about decolonizing history in general. And I'm kind of looking forward to finishing this and going down that path. So that's where I'm at right now. My head is full of Hawaiian history and I'm just barely getting started. I look forward to seeing some of these places in person and learning a lot more because I got a ton to learn. Sorry if this is too long or if I offended anybody. I'm doing my best. Cheers.